Right, at the risk of sounding too preachy, I wanted to share with you all briefly my experience with fear, how I've learned to navigate and manage fear. Because over the past 6 months, I've noticed that I've gotten pretty good at this, and I wanted to share the frameworks that I have used, and hopefully it just helps some of you. So, first thing you can do, especially for those who are operating a business or who are involved in the business of trading, this book right here. It's 80 pages. The first part is 80 pages. It's titled Fear. That's all you need to read. It has changed my life, and I know it will change yours. I'll summarize it without giving too much away. What I got from it was that fear itself is not the enemy, it's a normal human response. When we're faced with a threat, we either freeze, or we fight, or we flight. The first time I got robbed at knife point in Eastern Cape, South Africa, I just totally froze. That was my response to fear at that time. But the fear in itself, that's just a fun little story. The fear in itself, that's not the enemy. It sounds obvious, but it's how you respond to that fear. So in order to respond to it better, what Ryan Holiday speaks about is that fear comes in many different forms. It can come in the form via anxiety, via stress, via anger, depression. Everyone will experience something different. But when you take a few steps back and try and understand the root cause of that emotion that you're feeling, it'll generally always be relating to some type of fear. This could be fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of commitment. All of these types of fears will trickle into the various emotions which you're susceptible to. Some people get depressed, some people get angry. We all have our ways of sort of fighting back at fear. Some people run, some people go straight at it. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. I won't spoil too much of the book, but he really does lay out perfectly what exactly fear is and how to put it in the spotlight, how to call its name out, because once you see it, it's not so scary anymore. Okay, so this is the framework that I use. It'll apply to any business, but specifically for the world of capital markets, psychology is number one, and I've found that this framework has totally changed the game for how I navigate stress, anxiety, fear. The framework is very simple. Where you are in life, where you want to be. Where you want to be it could be a figure, it could be a time-based achievement where you see yourself in 3 years, 10 years time. To get from where you are to where you want to be, there's only two things at play. There are things that you have control of, and there are things which you do not have control of. The second one, things that you don't have control of, is the worst, in my experience. When it comes to things that are in your control, it's the basics that you hear every day: your health, your sleep, your fitness, whatever can help you maximize your day. Okay, don't go too far down the rabbit hole of all this social media hustle porn, waking up 3:30, cold plunge, run for 6 hours, and then come back and do 18 hours of deep work. Don't go too far down those rabbit holes. Just find what works best for you to maximize your day, and I guess try and be a better version of yourself today as opposed to who you were yesterday. Yeah, things that you don't have control over, they just come at random angles. It could be news that your best friend sadly passed on, a breakup, a divorce. That's what makes it unpredictable and very nasty. You weren't expecting it. You had no planning whatsoever. In business, this is especially true, okay? The leaders of any business, they kind of got a distillation of all the worst problems in the business, because nobody wants to navigate the worst problems, so they just hand it off to the next person, and it'll always go to the leaders of a business. So if you're involved in business, just know you are going to constantly be experiencing the unexpected. So you got to get good at handling it. It's an area in business which I am still navigating. What I found helps so far, what has got me through an unexpected moment recently, where there's a big change that needed to be done on my tech stack. Our tech stack just hit a big wall. I got some unfortunate news, and within 72 hours, I was able to turn that really bad news. I sat for a few hours to just absorb the initial stress and anxiety. I just sat down calmly to think. That's fine. Again, that's fear is not the enemy here. And then within those 72 hours, I thought of the right people to call, picked up the phone, made the right calls, and immediately started working on a solution. I was really proud of this because it was something very unexpected, but I felt like I handled it like a champ. What really helped me in what I experienced recently was for those few hours after hearing the news, when I just sat down and kind of absorbed everything, I asked myself a very simple question. What exactly is the problem? Okay, the entire tech side of my business hit a brick wall. Okay, now what exactly is the problem here? And what are the immediate solutions, if any? Concurrent to this, always think about worst case scenario, okay? If things don't go the way, if the solutions you have in mind don't pan out, what is the absolute worst case scenario? In my case, I'm blessed to have like a fallback. I can just go back home, fly back to South Africa, be with my family, should I say, my parents, get a job, build up the savings again, and have a redo at business, okay? Minus setback for a major comeback. Thinking about worst case scenarios, it just brings a lot of ease in my mind. I share it, see if it helps with yours, but we won't get there. That's worst case scenario. I don't intend to be there, so I will keep doing what I do best when it comes to experiencing unexpected problems. Just ask yourself, what exactly is the problem here? What exactly is the issue? What are the potential solutions I have? And then now you're in control again. Right, yeah, so that's the end of my little rant. Sometimes I make these videos so that future me can look back. If I need a bit of a recalibration, if I'm going through a tough time, I can just rewatch this. Yeah. First 80 pages, Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. 100% recommend, and I hope that explanation into frames where you are, where you want to be. And in order to get to where you want to be, there's a lot that you have control over, and learning how to navigate what you don't have control over via thinking about worst case scenario. You can still survive, you can still make it to the next day, as well as learning how to just really identify the problem at hand. Sit with the suck for a little bit, experience that fear. It's a normal human response, and then identify the problem, find the solutions to attack that problem, because once you have solutions, now you have control again. Now it's no more unexpected. Now you've named the fear.